Hi, I'm Gary, and welcome to another episode of Physical Format Rock and Roll, where we talk about all things rock and roll and classic metal. This will be an episode of new music review, or I guess I should say new release review, because it's not new music, once again. But this is another Record Store Day exclusive that I picked up. And this is Out to Get You Live, 1977, by Rockford, Illinois' best export Cheap Trick. So, what this album is, it's a live album, obviously, and it was recorded in June of 1977. So it's super early in the career of Cheap Trick. This is before they were a household name. It was recorded at the Whiskey A Go-Go. So that's really cool right there. They were in the process of recording their second album during this time, the In Color album. So the only thing they had released to the public at this time was their first album, their debut album. And, obviously they weren't famous yet, but, they were getting a bit of a following by being a live band and opening up for some other famous artists across the Midwest. And their whole goal was basically, like every up-and-coming artist that's worth their salt, is to try to blow the main act off the stage. And that used to happen back in the day. So Cheap Trick, they'd already been around for a few years there, honing their craft, so to speak. And while they were recording their second album, they took a break for a couple days, and they played these shows at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and that's what these recordings are taken from. They played, 4 or 5 shows in 3 days, and they did 4 of them in 2 days. They played an early show and a late show one day, early show, late show the next day. And that's what these recordings are from like June. They all come from June 3rd and June 4th. So they split them up between the early and late shows and came up with this double album. And here's what the inside looks like there. It's got a early picture of the band. It's pretty cool. Once again, I know I've been saying this a lot lately, but another super cool album cover that would make a great t-shirt that I would definitely buy. Anyway, on to more of the album itself. This is great. I love this album. This was a Record Store Day exclusive, so I'm not sure how many copies there are, but you know how it is with Record Store Day, you vinyl collectors. A lot of times you have to be there that day to get it. And then sometimes, they have an extra copy or two later on that you can pick up. If you are a Cheap Trick fan, you got to have this for your collection. Because it's got 8 or 9 songs from the first album that they play, and then stuff that they're working on, that they're in the process of recording for their second album. And it's even got a couple songs on here that end up on their classic Heaven Tonight album. High Roller, and I know there's another one, Auf Wiedersehen. Yeah, Auf Wiedersehen. Both of those songs are on here. So, the audience is listening to some songs that they've never heard before. It seems crazy now, but this is so early in their career. But what's great about this album is obviously this is before Budokan, the famous breakthrough Budokan album also. But, some of the same songs appear on Live at Budokan. And it's just neat hearing them playing them in a smaller place. And they're such a young band. I mean, there's just a lot of fire on this album. A lot of spunk to the band. And it's just fun to listen to. Recording-wise, it's not up to par, sound-wise as their Budokan album. but it's still pretty good. You know, it sounds fine. Yeah, you know, you'd like it to be perfect, but, you know, you're talking about 40-year-old recordings that have been hidden in a vault somewhere. So if you take that into consideration, it's very good. And to hear, you know, some of the songs sound different on here than they did on Budokan. They even play them a little bit different. And some of the songs sound a little bit different here than they ended up being, you know, once they were recorded for the studio albums. So just for that alone, you know, gosh, it's really great to own this album. I'm really glad that I got it. I'll read the track list to you really quick so you get an idea of what we're talking about there. Hello There, Come On, Come On, Oh Candy, Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace, Hello Kitties, which rocks a lot harder here than it does on the studio album. Hot Love, Southern Girls, Cry Cry, which is pretty cool. That ends up having like a lot of, you know, guitar stuff and ad-libbing things at the end. They even do a little bit of Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis at the end there. Goes into a cool version of Big Eyes. High Roller, like I said. He's a Whore. Daddy Should Have Stayed in High School. Can't Hold On. Clock Strikes 10. Blistering version of that. Loser. Taxman, Mr. Thief. Ain't That a Shame. Oh Caroline, that's great to hear on here. Oh Boy. You're All Talk. Avita Zane. And Good Night. Yeah, like I said, there's just a lot of, you know, like I said, there's some similarities, obviously, with the Budokan album. But even though, you know, you've already heard some of these tracks live, you're still hearing them in a slightly different format on this album. And it is definitely worth owning. If you're a big Cheap Trick fan, you know, if you're not, you know, you're more casual on, then yeah, I would recommend the Budokan album. Much easier to find than this. This would be, you know, for the collectors to go out and get. But if you are a big Cheap Trick fan, I would recommend it. And they're known, I think, you know, they're one of the best live bands of all time. I've seen Cheap Trick many times. I plan on seeing them again once all this shit is over with and we can see concerts again. I love Cheap Trick live. They have rarely ever let me down. It's kind of like my brother-in-law famously said there a few years ago. He'd never seen him before. He's older than me. We drug him to see him. And afterwards, it's like, what'd you think of these guys? And he said, they rock. Just a little uncharacteristic of him. So, but that's, you know, that's what you say about Cheap Trick, man, because it's true. So, once again, this is called Out to Get You Live, 1977. Definitely worth picking up. If you'd like to leave any comments, I would love that. And I would always appreciate anybody that would like to subscribe to this channel. I want to just keep these videos coming. So the subscriptions are just a, you know, way to keep me going. So I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll. And until the next time.